Page off.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So last video of the day, which is good because it's getting hot. I want to talk about the rest of the books that I added to Goodreads for June. Thankfully, there's not a lot, I don't think. So the first one I have is Barefoot by Ellen Hildebrand. I've heard of Ellen Hildebrand before, but I've never read one of her books. But this one looks good. I heard about this one from Alma's Book Journey. Visiting Nantucket for the summer, three women seek peace and comfort as they cope with the challenges in their lives, from marriage, infidelity, and the mayhem of motherhood to scandal, tragedy, and illness. Three women burdened with small children, unwieldy straw hats, and some obvious emotional issues tumble onto the Nantucket airport tarmac one hot June day. Vicky is trying to sort through the news that she has a serious illness. Her sister Brenda has just left her job after being caught in an affair with a student. And their friend Melanie, after 7 failed in vitro attempts, is pregnant at last, but only after learning that her husband is having an affair. They have come to escape, enjoy the sun, and relax in Nantucket's calming air. But into the house, into their world, steps 22-year-old Josh Flynn. And I guess something happens with him. Who knows? It doesn't say. That's where it stops, weirdly. Next we have In the Blink of an Eye by Kate Hewitt. This came out July 1st. And then Chloe from Always Booked talked about it in her July new releases video. I actually found it through Audible, though. So it was already on my list before her video. It only took a moment for everything to go wrong. In the blink of an eye, the birthday party became a nightmare. When we heard the screams, how did this happen and who is to blame? I'm so happy as I walk to pick up my son from the party. It's his first since we moved here, and I know he's found it hard settling in. Just as I found it hard to make friends among the mothers at the school gates. But as I turn the corner, my heart stops. Instead of the picture-perfect birthday party I left earlier, there's an ambulance. I start to run. My son is all I can think. I have to find my son. As I race into the garden, desperately searching for my child, a fellow parent turns to me, her finger pointed. The words out of her mouth make my blood run cold. Your son did this. This is your fault. Surely that can't be true. My son can be difficult, but I'd know if he was capable of hurting someone. Wouldn't I? As the little girl is lifted onto a stretcher, I feel my world come crashing down. My heart cracks in two for this poor child, her devastated family, because there's no coming back from this. An innocent girl has been hurt. My son is being blamed, and although I don't know what really happened, I do know that this moment will tear us all apart. I'll say. Next we have Skyward by Mary Alice Monroe. ER nurse Ella Majors has seen all the misery that she can handle. Burned out and unsure of her next step, she accepts the temporary position as caregiver to Marion Henderson, a frightened 5-year-old who suffers from juvenile diabetes. But Ella soon realizes that there's more sorrow in the isolated home than the little girl's illness can account for. Harris Henderson, a single father, seems better able to deal with the wild birds he rehabilitates in his birds of prey sanctuary than with his own daughter. Then something magical begins to happen. The timeless beauty of the South Carolina coast and the majestic grace of the wild birds weave a healing spell on the injured hearts at the sanctuary. But a troubled mother's unexpected return will test the fragile bonds of trust and new love and reveal the inherent risks and exhilarating beauty of flying free. Next, we have The Berlin Sisters by Soraya M. Lane. I already read this, so I'm not going to go over it. It's in my wrap-up. So, yeah. Next, we have Kitty by Elle McNichol. This is a prequel to A Kind of Spark. I heard about this from Chatty the Mad Chatter, and I cannot find it anywhere on audio, so I'm very upset. Set in Juniper 5 years before A Kind of Spark, Kitty is a powerful coming-of-age story that thoughtfully tackles bullying, navigating friendships, and the joys and difficulties of being an autistic teenager. As Kitty and her twin sister Nina approach their 14th birthday, they seem to only be growing farther apart. Kitty instead feels drawn to and fiercely protective of their quiet younger sister Addie, who on the surface is the opposite of loud and fiery Kitty, but in fact they have more in common than anyone knows. Next is Miss Morgan's Book Brigade by Janet Skesling Charles. I heard about this one from the Book Bumble podcast. 1918. As the Great War rages, Jessie Carson takes a leave of absence from the New York Public Library to work for the American Committee for Devastated France. Founded by millionaire Anne Morgan, this group of international women helps rebuild devastated French communities just miles from the front. Upon arrival, Jessie arrives to establish something that the French have never seen: children's libraries. She turns ambulances into bookmobiles and trains the first French female librarians. Then she disappears. 1987. When NYPL librarian and aspiring writer Wendy Peterson stumbles across a passing reference to Jessie Carson in the archives, she becomes consumed with learning her fate. In her obsessive research, she discovers that she and the elusive librarian have more in common than their work at New York's famed library, but she has no idea their paths will converge in surprising ways across time. Interesting historical fiction. Next we have Pink Glass Houses by Asha Elias. Heard about this one from Book Talk, etc. This is coming out July 30th. A seductive social satire about the wealthy PTA moms of an elite elementary school in Miami Beach. There's a reason people call Miami Beach a sunny place for shady people. Welcome to Sunset Academy, the most coveted elementary school in Miami Beach, where there are 3 categories of families: rich, wealthy, and ultra-wealthy. Perfectly tanned and smiling Charlotte Giordani is Sunset Academy's alpha mom. With a sleek blowout and a relentless charm, Charlotte's brashness serves her well. She's up for election as a PTA president and is riding high, having just secured a massive donation from billionaire Don Walker and his socialite wife, Patricia. Don and Patricia are philanthropists, media darlings, and the owners of Villa Rosa, a newly built modern glass house that everyone is talking about. It's either spectacular or a tacky eyesore, depending on how you feel about billionaires. Enter Melody Howard, a wide-eyed transplant from Wichita, Kansas. At first, a skeptic about Miami Beach and its endless hashtagable social scene, Melody finds herself sucked into the glossy, frenetic world of Sunset Academy moms. Melody's easygoing manner and background in nonprofit management makes her an asset to the PTA. But when she emerges as a rival for the PTA president, Charlotte begins to unravel. Even the most powerful players on the social scene prove to be vulnerable when an investigation into white-collar crime triggered by another school mom, the formidable Jamaican-American judge Carol Lawson, threatens to take down the whole institution. No amount of rosé can soothe tensions as the drama builds to a shocking crisis point. That's pretty wild. Next we have Shelterwood by Lisa Wingate. Heard about this from the Currently Reading podcast. Oklahoma, 1909. 11-year-old Olive Augusta Bradley knows that her stepfather doesn't have good intentions toward the 2 Choctaw girls boarded in their home as warts. When the older girl disappears, Olive flees to the woods, taking 6-year-old Nessa with her. Together they begin a perilous journey to the rugged, winding stairs mountains, the notorious territory of outlaws, treasure hunters, and desperate men. Along the way, Ollie and Nessa form an unlikely band with others like themselves, struggling to stay one step ahead of those who seek to exploit them. Or worse. Oklahoma, 1990. Law enforcement ranger Valerie Boren Odell arrives at Horse Thief Trail National Park seeking a quiet place to balance a career and single parenthood. But no sooner has Valerie reported for duty than she's faced with local controversy over the park's opening. A teenage hiker gone missing from one of the trails, and the long hidden burial site of 3 children deep in a cave. Val's quest to uncover the truth wins an ally among the neighborhood Choctaw tribal police, but soon collides with old secrets and the tragic and deadly history of the land itself. So, it sounds like these two stories collide. And I need some water. Next, we have Two Mothers by Catherine Croft. Heard about this one from Always Booked. This is coming out tomorrow, July 5th. I'm going to read it immediately. Her daughter died. Did she take mine? A year ago, my best friend Rachel's daughter died. Ever since then, I have held my own beautiful little girl tighter. I watch Luna shriek with laughter as she tips her toys all over the floor, and I look anxiously at Rachel sipping her tea. But Rachel reassures me that being near Luna helps fill the gaping hole of her grief, just a little. And when I face my own worst nightmare when Luna is snatched from her bed in the middle of the night, it is Rachel who holds me tightly as I wail. She looks at the blue and white police tape crisscrossing my little girl's bedroom and promises me they will find Luna. What happened to her daughter was different. And Rachel is right. 2 days later, I'm holding my precious girl in my arms again after she was found in a nearby park. But my joy is short-lived. Rachel's husband reports her missing. And when the police find Luna's cuddly lamb in Rachel's house, I am forced to face the shocking truth. Did my best friend take my daughter? Or did someone want Rachel out of the way to frame a vulnerable, grieving woman? When I receive an anonymous note telling me to stop asking questions, I'm certain I don't know everything. Who is in the most danger? My best friend, my child, or me? And if I make one wrong move, what will I lose? Next we have I'm Her Mother by Lauren North. Released July 18th, and I cannot find this on audio for pre-order yet, which sucks. We both say she's our daughter, but one of us is lying. My little girl, Lola, is my whole world. 3 years old and so beautiful, all golden curls and dimpled cheeks. But on our way home from holiday, she was stolen, whisked away in the blink of an eye. I can't breathe without Lola. I don't know how to get her back. The woman who has my daughter is on the run, and she has no intention of bringing Lola home, because she says she's her mother. But that's impossible, because I'm Lola's mother. Though really, I should have known my secrets would come back to haunt me. Well, that this day was always going to come. 2 women claim that Lola belongs to them. 2 women with something to hide. Only one is telling the whole truth. Who will you believe? I don't know, but I want to know. Next we have The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer, releasing July 16th. Inspired by C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia, this wild and wondrous novel is a fairy tale for grown-ups who still knock on the back of wardrobes just in case. This is from the author of The Wishing Game. As boys, best friends Jeremy Cox and Rafe Howell went missing in a vast West Virginia state forest, only to mysteriously reappear 6 months later with no explanation of where they'd gone or how they'd survived. 15 years after their miraculous homecoming, Rafe is a reclusive artist who still bears scars inside and out, but has no memory of what happened during those months. Meanwhile, Jeremy has become a famed missing persons investigator. With his uncanny abilities, he is the one person who can help detective Emily Wendell find her sister, who vanished in the very same forest as Rafe and Jeremy. Jeremy alone knows the fantastical truth about the disappearances, for while the rest of the world was searching for them, the 2 missing boys were in a magical realm filled with impossible beauty and terrible danger. He believes that it is there that they will find Emily's sister. However, Jeremy has kept Rafe in the dark since their return for his own inscrutable reasons. But the time for bearing secrets comes to an end as the quest for Emily's sister begins. The former lost boys must confront their shared past, no matter how traumatic the memories. Alongside the headstrong Emily, Rafe and Jeremy must return to the enchanted world they called home for 6 months, for only then can they get back everything and everyone they've lost. Next, we have When the World Was Silent by Donna Jones, by Donna Jones Alward, releasing July 19th. A story of loss, hope, and redemption against the most impossible odds. 1917, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Nora Crowell wants more than her sister's life as a wife and mother. As World War I rages across the Atlantic, she becomes a lieutenant in the Canadian Army Nurse Corps. But trouble is looming, and it won't be long before the truth comes to light. Having lost her beloved husband in the trenches and with no one else to turn to, Charlotte Campbell now lives with his haughty relations who treat her like the help. It is baby Aileen, the joy and light of her life, who spurs her to dream of a better life. When tragedy strikes in Halifax Harbor, nothing for these two women will ever be the same again. Their paths will cross in the most unexpected way, trailing both heartbreak and joy in its wake. Next is Maria, a novel of Maria von Trapp by Michelle Moran, released July 30th. Maria von Trapp. You know the name and the iconic songs, but do you know her real story? In the 1950s, Oscar Hammerstein is asked to write the lyrics to a musical based on the life of a woman named Maria von Trapp. He's intrigued to learn that she was once a novice who hoped to live quietly as an Austrian nun before her abbey sent her away to teach a widowed baron's sickly child, which should have been a 10-month assignment, however, unexpectedly turned into a marriage proposal. And when the family was forced to flee the home to escape the Nazis, it was Maria who instructed them on how to survive using nothing but the power of their voices. It's an inspirational story, to be sure, and is half of the famous Rodgers and Hammerstein duel. Hammerstein knows it has big Broadway potential, yet much of Maria's life will have to be reinvented for the stage. And with the horrors of war still fresh in people's minds, Hammerstein can't let audiences see just how close the Von Trapps came to losing their lives. But when Maria sees a script that is supposedly based on her life, she becomes so incensed that she sets off to confront Hammerstein in person. Told that he's busy, she is asked to express her concern to his secretary, Fran. Instead, the pair strike up an unlikely friendship as Maria tells Fran her life, contradicting much of what will eventually appear. So, sounds like she's expressing her outrage over the Sound of Music. And on that note, those are all the books that I added to my TBR in June. And my voice is going. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.
Speech up. Stop recording.